Good evening, folks, and welcome to Grace Fellowship's Sunday evening online church service. Tonight, I'm going to be speaking on Ecclesiastes. No, not chapter 3. No. You see, Miss Sue thought she got it right. Chapter 7. And I'm going to do this in two parts. Tonight, I'm going to speak about from verses 1 through 14. And then the next Sunday, the next Sunday I'm speaking, I'll speak on 15 through 29. And really, I know Sue's talking about Proverbs at the minute, and it's a brilliant study that we're doing in Proverbs. And Proverbs, there's loads of things to guide us for wisdom and everything there. But I think Ecclesiastes 7 really is. It's full of wisdom, and it's still written by Solomon, and it's the wee slant on Proverbs as well. But anyway, without further ado, now I'm reading from an NLT version, so whatever version of the Bible you're going to be reading along with them might be different. But anyway, in the NLT version, chapter 7, verses 1 through 14. A good reputation is more valuable than the most expensive perfume. In the same way, the day you die is better than the day you're born. It is better to spend your time at funerals than at festivals, for you are going to die, and you should think about it while there is still time. Sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness has a refining influence on us. A wise person thinks much about death, while the fool thinks only about having a good time now. It is better to be criticized by a wise person than to be praised by a fool. Indeed, a fool's laughter is quickly gone, like thorns crackling in the fire. This is also meaningless. Extortion turns wise people into fools, and bribes corrupt the heart. Finishing is better than starting. Patience is better than pride. Don't be quick-tempered, for anger is the friend of fools. Don't long for the good old days, for you don't know whether they were any better than today. Being wise is as good as being rich. In fact, it is better. Wisdom or money can get you almost anything, but it's important to know what only wisdom can save your life. Notice the way God does things, then fall into line. Don't fight the ways of God, for who can straighten out what he made crooked? Enjoy prosperity while you can, but when hard times strike, realize that both come from God. That way, you will realize that nothing is certain in life. The only thing certain in life, folks, is that from the minute you're born, the only thing certain in life is you're going to pay taxes and you're going to die. That's the only two things that's certain in life. It really is. But here in this, I feel Solomon, he pauses in this chapter, right, from everything he was talking about in the first 6 chapters. So it's like a wee breather he's taking. But he seems to reflect on wisdom he's shared in the previous 6 chapters as well. Now, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but through those first 14 verses, there's a key word in there, and it is better. Okay? The Lord shows us that, we all know the saying that medicine that tastes the worst is often the best for you. Yep. So in these verses, Solomon's really he's goading us. That's it. He's goading us into thinking outside the box. Right. So it's a bit like it's bad medicine, but it's the best for you. Okay. As a result, here he reflects on his own experiences and shares 7 things which are better. Okay. So 7 things which are better. There's one of 7 And honor is better than luxury. And it says that in verse 1. A good reputation is more valuable than the most expensive perfume. In the same way, you will die. It's better than the day you were born. But there he's saying your good reputation, it's more valuable than a perfume, than a most expensive perfume. Now, pardon me, here he's teaching us. He's the teacher here. He's teaching us. So here he begins and ends, right? You can really see it. He begins and ends this section with the rationale, really, that wisdom is better than wealth. And it's in 1, and it's also in verses 11 and 12. You can go back and read it yourselves. In 11 and 12, he says, being wise is as good as being rich. In fact, it is better. And in 12, wisdom or money can buy you almost anything, but it's important to know that only wisdom can save your life. I really think that's better than all the wealth that you could have. And also, honor is better than luxury. Why? For a simple reason. Reputations last a lifetime, don't they? Luxuries, material things, are fleeting. But a reputation lasts longer than a lifetime. Yeah, it lasts longer than a lifetime. Because I think it was on Tuesday night we were talking about that what we should all be aiming to do here in the here and now is create a good legacy, a good reputation, a good legacy, so that when we're called home, we will leave a good legacy that will go on and people will be talking about it for years afterwards. That's what we want to do. Two of 7. Death is better than life. Again, that's in verse 1. And the day you die is better than the day you were born. I know it's better for us believers because we're going to, if we're called home to glory, we're going to go to paradise, and then when the rapture happens, we'll all go to heaven. So eventually, yes, we're all going to go to heaven. I'm just going to phrase it, we're all going to go to heaven. So that's good for us, but for you non-believers that might be watching this on live stream or watching it in playback, I don't know what you think about dying, but you can have hope that you're going to a better place. Anyway, here Solomon, the teacher, because he's teaching us here, he really turns and this wisdom, he's describing the value of wisdom over wealth to the idea that death is better than life. So he's turning it head over heels, really, isn't he? Now, what I get from that is the reason here is twofold, really twofold. First, what I get is, we were showing earlier, reputations last longer than one's life. And second, you'll see it later on, it brings people together. Okay? Now, of the 7 things, it's 3 of 7. Mourning is better than feasting. That's in verse 2. It is better to spend your time at funerals than at festivals, for you're going to die, and you should think about it while there is still time. Mourning. What is mourning? Mourning, it's an outward expression of an inward sorrow or grief. That's what mourning is. And here, Solomon, he reminds us that we'll not be able to party all of the time. Either old age gets the better of you, finances, or death. So you won't be partying all the time. Now, when you throw a party, especially if there's loads of food and drinks and all that, you throw a party, everybody wants to come to it, but they're only coming to get what they can get. Okay, they're only coming for the enjoyment, for the food, for the drink, for the free drink. They're not really there for your sake. But it's different when people go to a funeral or a place of mourning, wakes, call them what you want. Because when people go to your place of mourning, your wake and everything, they're there to comfort the loved ones of the deceased. And they're going for their own comfort as well. So they're going through grief. They're going because they want to go. And it's not because what they can get from you, like they would go to your party. Now, friends that come to the house of mourning show that they are truly friends. Okay? And that is, and that's why it's better. It's better than out partying all the time. 4 of 7. Sorrow in verses 3 to 4. Sorrow is better than laughter. And a wise person thinks much about death, while a fool thinks only about having a good time now. Now, following up on the previous, better thing is the reason why mourning is better than feasting. You know, that we do gain more wisdom from going to one really good funeral than we do from going to a whole year's worth of birthday parties, wedding celebrations, and all the rest of it. Dealing with death is good for us. It's good for the heart. You know, the heart, the heart is really the center of who we are. I've often said that the kitchen of a home, the kitchen is the heart of the home. It's where all good, nourishing food comes from, isn't it? But it's the heart of the home. Sorrow is better than laughter, it's written, because it makes the heart glad. Or, I suppose more literally saying it, you know, by sadness the heart is made better. By hurt, the heart could be made stronger. If you don't hold on to hatred, get rid of it, you can be made stronger. But dealing with death and all its sorrows, it does make us better people. Makes us more understanding, more empathetic towards people. The 5 of 7, and in verses 5 through 6, it said, it's better to be criticized by a wise person than to be praised by a fool. Indeed, a fool's laughter is quickly gone, like thorns crackling in the fire. This also is meaningless. The praise of fools doesn't accomplish anything in life, does it? Other than it puffs up a silly person. Certainly won't make you a better person. But when we're corrected by a wise person, if the one who's corrected would listen, we'll learn. And that's the trick of it, is that knowing that the correction is coming in love and it's coming from a wise, sensible person, for us to listen to it and take it on board, we'll learn. You can learn lots of things. So we should always be prepared to be corrected. Now, but there's a hard part with this better thing. It's discover that correction helps us more than praise does. Praise doesn't really help you. Praise will puff you up, where correction will strengthen you. And especially in our spiritual walk, correction can help us mature spiritually. So it's better than praise. Now, we should look at correction as a form of encouragement. And when we rebuke someone else, correct someone else, it should always be done, to make that person better. Not, you don't to correct a flaw, to teach a person a lesson or improve or something like that. It's to help make them better. And do you know that correction can also, it definitely can encourage you, and it can also heal you. That's why Solomon says here, it's better than praise. Correction is better than praise. Praise is letting you know that you've done something well. And because you've done that something well, you might think you don't need to improve in that. There are some things you can't improve on, but there's lots and lots of things that you can improve on. So if you get a lot of praise, you just think you might get stuck in your box. And see, this is where Solomon here is goading us, pushing us to think outside the box. Correction really does help you do something and do it better. Six of 7, and in verses 7 through 10, it's extortion. Extortion turns wise people into fools, and bribes corrupt the heart. Finishing is better than starting. Patience is better than pride. Don't be quick-tempered, for anger is the friend of fools. Don't long for the good old days, for you don't know whether they were any better than today. Right. There's 4 points here, right, that Solomon's talking about. And it's 4 different ways, four different ways that can help us prevent us from being impatient. So 1 of 4, or should I say A, impatience. Like, that's the first way, folks. Pride can prevent us from being patient, and it's making us impatient. In verse 8, finishing is better than starting. Patience is better than pride. Okay. To finish something takes patience. There's one lovely lady here tonight knitting her Christmas sweater, and she's got, I think, almost 2 sleeves completed. She started it a couple of weeks ago, and she has patience to see that sweater through to the end, and she'll be wearing it at Christmas. I know every winter she knits herself a new winter hat. That takes patience to do that. You might drop a stitch, you might go off the pattern or something like that, and it might have to be ripped out and redone. That takes great patience to be able to do that. But as humans, we don't have a lot of patience. We get impatient. Oh, my goodness me. We get impatient at everything, don't we? Why? Because we're living in a world that is instant gratification. McDonald's, drive-throughs for McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, everything. It's came to the UK, I don't know what, about 20, 25 years ago. But you know something, now that's fast food. You go up, you order it, and by the time you drive to the next window to pay it, and you go to the next window, your food's ready. Sometimes it might take an extra minute or 2 because the person in front had to count change out, or didn't have the right change, or needed something else or whatever. And we get so impatient because we might have to wait an extra 15, 20, 30 or seconds. That's really how impatient the world has got, folks. Or if the bill for our meal doesn't arrive just when we want it, we have to wait for it. We get really impatient, don't we? Oh, and church. Let's not forget about church. We can get really impatient at church, can't we? Because it's okay starting on time. But if the preacher or something in a church goes on talking, say, for 25 minutes instead of 20 minutes, oh, we get so impatient, don't we? Oh, I need to go home. This is going on too long. So it is. Oh, I need to get home. Nonsense. When we get our own building again, there will be a start time, but there won't be a finish time. I can see us being there till midnight, maybe. If people want to leave, they go quietly. You don't stop everybody and say, right, folks, I'm away. You don't do that. You slip out quietly. So get used to it now, folks, right? B of 4, or 2 of 4, but B, indifference. Impatience does lead to indifference of other people. Now, in verse 9, it says, don't be quick-tempered, for anger is the friend of fools. Indifference is when we let our spirit rush. Now, what do I mean by that? We don't learn the value of self-control. We begin not to care, okay? Like, you know that sense, that feeling, that sense that when you think you need to do something, you need to get it done, or something needs your attention, but you end up avoiding other people to get it done. Like oh, I don't know, the lady knitting her sweater here, maybe sort of she's only got 4 rows to do, and I'm going to finish this, but somebody texts her or rings her, or a knock will come to the door or something. No, I have to get this finished. That's no, we shouldn't put that over avoiding our other commitments to other people. And you've got to stop thinking, I just got to get this done, no matter what. When you have that in your spirit, that's a form of indifference. And it leads, that leads on to irritability. It really does. And that is the third of the 4 points as well. And still in verse 9, don't be quick-tempered or angered. Anger is the friend of fools. When you become impatient, we really can become indifferent and procrastinate. And the other way we act out our impatience is that we become really irritable. Unfortunately, I was never a parent, but all you parents out there can understand that you try to be patient with your kids to get ready to go somewhere important, and you got to be honest with yourselves. But this has happened to you big times. Say you're rushing out to church Sunday morning, or you're going to a wedding, right? And you have to be there for a certain time, right? But the lovely little children start playing up. They'll take their shoes and their socks off and they'll hide them, or they'll do something, or they'll go and get some juice or something to spill it down them. They have to be changed. And you're trying to rush them out the door. And they don't do what you say. Now, come on, admit it, folks. Haven't you all got angry at that? Oh, you have all got angry at that. I know I would. But we do have to learn to be patient, especially when there's other, people involved, especially children or elderly people. We do have to learn to be patient. And when we get irritated because something isn't done, the problem is with us, not the thing or the person that is irritating us. It's us. Okay. Now, the fourth part of that, or D, there's a questioning spirit. And in verse 10, don't long for the good old days, for you don't know whether they were any better than today. People really do sit and think back to the good old days. And they're generally people that don't want to move on. They can't see themselves going forward. And it's usually those ones that asking you, talking about the good old days. Now, people who talk about the former days, that would like the good old days to return, they're usually irritable, critical people and easily offended. And they're always questioning what and why we are doing things. Why are you going there? Why are you wearing that? Why are you going to eat that? Yep, you've heard them all, haven't you? You know it. And they're also usually showing that their pride is overtaking their patience. And as we go through, as we go through these verses, we see how our pride can interrupt our patience. But the end of a matter is better than the beginning of a thing, because we learn patience. You got to start it and you got to finish it. Extortion and bribes are just they're just shortcuts. Yeah, they're just shortcuts to get to an end quickly. And no, don't do it. They don't teach you to be patient. And this is why a patient spirit is better than a proud spirit, as Solomon says. Like, if we become proud, folks, we can easily become angry because things don't go our way. And if we become angry about a matter, it means we didn't learn patience. And that we're relying on our prideful selves. That's a bad combination, isn't it? And when we look back at former days, we generally rely on our pride and not our patience. What does pride teach you? Nothing but to be discontent with the present. And it's because we live. Well, no, sorry. It's because we believe that our past is better than our present or our future. It's not. You don't know what the rest of the day is going to hold. Today might have been pretty bad up till now, but you don't know what the rest of the day is going to hold. So the rest of the day could be the best hours of your life, or tomorrow's the future. You don't know what they hold. So don't be sitting thinking back to all our yesteryears that there were the good old days. Pride leads to a negative outlook, doesn't it? And patience teaches us to endure. Like, because we as believers, because we believe that our future is better than our past. And we know that patience leads to a positive outlook. Anyway, back to the original 7 points. And the last one is that in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, 11 till 12, to 11 till 12. Being wise is as good as being rich. In fact, it is better. Wisdom or money can get you almost anything, but it's impossible to know that, but it's not impossible. It's important to know that only wisdom can save your life. Now, in earlier verses, or Yeah, as in earlier the verses, the section begins and ends with the idea that wisdom is better than health. Verse 1, it began with a good reputation, better than an expensive perfume. Now I've been told that wisdom's better than money. Honor is better than luxury. And wisdom and money both can protect a person. They can help you do great things. But wisdom defines a person more than the things a person accumulates. Yep, that's right. You can accumulate all the wealth, all the fancy cars. I know some billionaires. Well, I don't know them. I shouldn't have said it that way. We all know of some billionaires has got sheds, barns full of like maybe 30, 40, 50 cars, sometimes more. You can only drive one car at a time. And they've got fancy mansions and fancy everything. But if they've no wisdom, there's nothing. Anyway, let's pull all this together. And when you look at it, there's the better things come from the hand and power of God. And that does say that in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, 13 and 14. It says, notice the way God does things, then fall into line. Don't fight the ways of God, for who can straighten out what he has made crooked? Enjoy prosperity while you can, but when hard times strike, realize that both come from God, that you will realize that nothing is certain in this life. So the best things in life do come from the hand and the power of God. And you know, there really is a big contrast, a great big difference, a great big chasm between our earthly possessions and our heavenly possessions. And in the scriptures, it's written that not to store things up on earth, but to store things up in heaven. Yes, that's in Matthew, verse 6. I can't remember. No, sorry, chapter 6. I think it's in around verse 15 or something like that. I can't remember. But if you don't store your treasure here on earth, store your treasures in heaven. And the reason that wisdom is better than wealth is that heavenly is better than earthly. Yeah, that's it. So be wise. Store your things up in heaven. It's going to be an awful lot better. You're going to be in heaven an awful lot longer than what you are on earth. So store your riches up there. And wisdom is really better because wisdom comes from the hand of God. Honor, death, mourning, sorrow, rebuke, patience, and wisdom. It all teaches the better things in life, folks. And it's not necessarily the easy things that all come from the hand of God, but all of the experience highlight the wisdom of God. And as a result of all that, we should really learn to trust him. And you know which verses I'm going to finish with? Going to be Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which is trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all that you do, and he'll show you which paths to take. No, got to finish with another one. Psalm 119, verse 105. Thy word is like a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Simple. That's all I've got to say tonight, folks. I hope that somebody gets something from this here on the Zoom call, on live stream, and listening on playback later on. I'm going to end the recordings now, and then we here in the Zoom call can have a few minutes chat until our next live stream and Zoom call will be on Monday night with Read It Right, and then Tuesday night with Pearls of Grace, both Bible studies. Until then, I do hope and pray that everything goes well for you all. And if you want to talk to any of us, you want to any of us to pray with you, or you'd like to know more about Jesus, you would like to give your life to Jesus, contact us, and we will gladly speak with you. Until then, bye.